Bill Maher admits Trump's tariff plan didn't tank the economy. Imagine the surprise when predictions of economic doom and gloom fail to materialize. Bill Maher, a well-known commentator, has recently admitted that his dire forecasts about the economy under President Trump's tariff policies haven't come to pass. In a recent episode of his Club Random podcast, Maher discussed his initial skepticism with progressive political commentator Brian Tyler Cohen. I remember thinking, along with many others, that by the 4th of July, the economy would be in a tailspin due to Trump's tariffs, Maher confessed. But that didn't happen, he acknowledged, highlighting the unexpected resilience of the economy. But here's where it gets controversial. Maher's admission raises questions about the accuracy of economic predictions and the impact of tariffs. Trump's reciprocal tariffs, announced in April, were initially met with a temporary pause for most countries, with the full effect set to take place in August. Maher, a frequent critic of Trump, admitted his confusion over the president's strategy. "The truth is, I don't know what his strategy is," Maher said, adding, "But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all." Maher's observations are a stark contrast to his earlier predictions. "I see people out there just living their lives," he noted. "And I gotta own it, that these tariffs were going to f***ing sink this economy by this time, and they didn't." Maher's candid admission invites us to consider how we should interpret these economic developments. How do we reconcile our initial predictions with the current reality? And this is the part most people miss. Maher's experience underscores the importance of staying grounded in reality, rather than being driven by personal biases. How do we deal with that fact? Because that's the fact, Maher concluded. So, what do you think? Do you believe the economy is as resilient as Maher suggests? Or are there underlying issues that haven't yet surfaced? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Bill Maher admits he was wrong about Trump's tariffs. Economy thriving. There's often a narrative that politics and economic policies are black and white, but what if we're missing a big part of the picture? Bill Maher, a well-known liberal comedian, recently admitted to a surprising shift in his perspective regarding Trump-era tariffs and the reasons behind it. And this is the part most people might overlook. Despite all the hype about economic doom, the reality isn't lining up with the predictions. On his Club Random podcast, Maher openly acknowledged that he once believed the tariffs imposed during Trump's presidency would wreak havoc on the economy, expecting a downturn by the 4th of July. Like many, he initially thought that these protectionist measures and trade wars would drag the nation into recession. But as he puts it, that didn't happen. He explained that he has to be honest about this shift and called out the tendency to dismiss Trump's policies outright just because of personal or political bias. Maher pointed out that despite the tariffs, the stock markets are reaching record highs, and he sees everyday Americans going about their lives without signs of economic collapse. This recognition leads to a deeper question. How do we interpret economic health when our assumptions, especially rooted in partisan bias, are wrong? Maher's candor shines a light on the importance of starting from the facts, even if they challenge our preconceived notions. It's a reminder that complex issues like tariffs and trade policies aren't easily reducible to simple right or wrong. Adding to this, Maher criticizes the knee-jerk opposition to Trump and the tendency for some to frame economic metrics as inherently negative just to score political points. His conversation with fellow YouTuber Brian Tyler Cohen touches on how the unpredictable nature of these policies and predictions can often lead us astray, highlighting how even experienced commentators can miss the mark. Looking at Trump's approach, not everyone agrees with Maher's take. He's questioned some of Trump's central economic arguments, especially the push to revive manufacturing, a strategy Maher deems outdated and impractical in the current global landscape, where automation and AI are transforming industries. And this sparks a broader debate. Are we aiming to restore old industries that no longer hold the same relevance? Or should we adapt to new realities? Maher's skepticism about the focus on bringing manufacturing jobs back, coupled with the idea that robots will replace human workers anyway, challenges traditional economic narratives. So what's the takeaway? Sometimes, facts on the ground don't match our expectations or popular opinions. Yet acknowledging this can lead to better understanding and smarter policy decisions. Do you agree that political biases often distort our view of economic health? Or do you believe the risks of tariffs outweigh the benefits? Let's hear your thoughts. This is one conversation where the more perspectives, the better. Bill Maher admits being wrong about Trump's tariffs. Charlie Kirk highlights economic victory. Charlie Kirk reveals Bill Maher's acknowledgement of mistakes regarding Trump tariffs. In a recent discussion, Charlie Kirk brought attention to a noteworthy admission made by Bill Maher, a prominent comedian and political commentator. Maher, who had been vocal in his criticism of President Trump's tariff strategies, has now openly recognized that his earlier predictions of a significant economic downturn resulting from these tariffs did not come to pass. Kirk shared this revelation through a tweet, commending Maher for his intellectual honesty. Maher's reflection addresses his previous conviction that the tariffs would severely damage the U.S. economy, a belief he has since come to understand was misguided. The topic of tariffs has sparked considerable debate, influencing both financial markets and the political landscape. Maher's shift in perspective illustrates the ongoing discussions and reevaluations of the economic policies enacted during Trump's presidency. But here's where it gets controversial. Maher's reassessment of the effects of tariffs ties into larger conversations about U.S. fiscal policy. Recently, there have been reports of an unusual Treasury budget surplus, which can be partially attributed to the revenue generated from these tariffs. This situation prompts a deeper examination of how changes in economic policy, ranging from trade regulations to issues like escalating education costs, affect generational wealth and public discourse. This raises an important question. Are tariffs truly beneficial for the economy, or do they create more problems than they solve? As we navigate these complex issues, it's essential to consider the implications of such policies on our financial realities. What are your thoughts on Maher's change of heart? Do you agree with his new perspective, or do you think the original concerns about tariffs still hold merit? Join the conversation in the comments below.